Donald Trump's White House is in absolute shambles right now. His Epstein scandal has once again exploded after months of trying to hide it and sweep it under the rug. Donald Trump's approval rating is at the lowest point we have ever seen and continuing to drop. And on top of that, Donald Trump is so angry and so panicked, he's now attacking Americans. And it's why his top advisors are turning on him in a leaked report that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into that report of Donald Trump's advisors turning on him, I want to start with one of the biggest reasons, and it's what he said, attacking Americans, broken down by Lawrence O'Donnell right here.
Well, Donald Trump, who is facing the disapproval of 54% of Americans, continues his politically losing ways by saying something that could get that disapproval number up, something that no president in history has ever said. 2/3 of Americans are fools. Donald Trump put that in writing. Donald Trump said in writing, people that are against tariffs are fools. 65% of Americans are fools, according to Donald Trump. 65%. 65% of Americans oppose the Trump tariffs, and Donald Trump's response to that is to call them fools with an exclamation point. 65% of the country knows that Donald Trump's tariffs are causing inflation, causing them higher costs that they're facing. 65% know that the Trump tariffs are economically hurting them. And Donald Trump calls them fools and then says he wants to send them all a check for $2,000 to compensate for the economic harm that his tariffs have caused those people. The Wall Street Journal editorial board responded to that idea saying, quote, if tariffs are a free economic lunch and their benefits abound, why offer a rebate? Donald Trump is the most inconsistent, incoherent, ignorant federal elected official in history on the subject of tariffs. And because he spreads so much madness and chaos every day, the Washington news media is incapable of what would be their standard reaction to a politician saying that 65% of Americans are fools. There would be outrage. Imagine, once again, if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton had ever said 65% of Americans are fools. Imagine the number of articles that would pour forth out of the Washington news media about how elitist and out of touch that Democrat is for saying 65% of the American people are fools. Donald Trump can say it, and the Washington news media doesn't even notice it because his madness has understandably worn them down. They have lowered their standards for Donald Trump. Later in this hour, we will hear from President Obama's chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, Jason Furman, on Donald Trump's idea about paying $2,000 to 225 million people he calls fools. Also, later in the hour, we'll hear from an expert on how to refund tariffs. If the Supreme Court properly rules that Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional, then those illegally collected tariffs will have to be refunded. And Donald Trump is lying about such a refund now, claiming that it would involve trillions of dollars being refunded from the Treasury. That is a complete lie. Only $195 billion has been collected in Trump tariffs, and all of that could easily be refunded. The IRS refunds that much every year in overpaid income taxes. Our guest joining us later in the hour will show you exactly how tariffs are paid and exactly how they can be refunded. And it's just as easy as the refund that the Treasury sends to millions and millions of income taxpayers every year.
Imagine if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom talked about Americans the way Donald Trump does. It's always that New York is a hellhole, Chicago is falling apart, you're an idiot if you don't like my agenda. If Joe Biden had called some farmer in Iowa stupid for not liking infrastructure that was going to make his life better, we would still be talking about it. We would never hear the end of it. But Donald Trump can call more than half of America idiots. He can say with Laura Ingraham that you are a stupid person unable to get a job in this country, and no one bats an eye, except for the very few of us who will actually hold this guy accountable, and his own staff now, who are losing it that Trump can't move on from one of the most idiotic actions and positions that he is taking. Freaked out Trump aides trying to stop him pushing his favorite delusion. Panicked advisors to Donald Trump are reportedly urging the president to stop dismissing Americans' financial anxieties and insisting there is no cost of living crisis. White House officials have advised Trump not to brush off voter concerns about inflation and rising food costs and instead pivot his messaging to assure Americans that he is working to address these issues, administration officials told CNN. The backlash to Trump's handling of the economy was evident on November 4th when GOP and Trump-endorsed candidates suffered humiliating defeats in races across the country. The White House now fears the GOP could face crushing losses in the 2026 midterms if Trump continues to bury his head in the sand about voters' economic fears. You can't convince people that their experience, what they're feeling at home, isn't reality, one Trump official told CNN. Trump, whose net worth is estimated at around $6.6 billion, has repeatedly rejected any suggestion that tens of millions of Americans are still struggling financially under his administration. In an interview with Fox News' Laura Ingraham, broadcast Monday, Trump dismissed reports of a struggling economy as a con job pushed by Democrats and the media. When Ingraham pressed him on why polls consistently show Americans feeling anxious about the economy, Trump replied, "I don't know that they are saying that. I think the polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had." In a damning outburst in the Oval Office after the Election Day wipeout, Trump reportedly declared, "I don't want to hear about affordability," while pushing the misleading claim that a Thanksgiving dinner will be cheaper this year. "The only problem is the Republicans don't talk about it," Trump added. The issue for Trump, however, is that not only are many people struggling financially, but a majority of them blame him for their situation. A CNN SSRS poll published last week on the eve of the GOP's disastrous election showing found that 72% of Americans described the economy as somewhat or very poor. 61% said Trump's policies, such as his sweeping tariffs, had made conditions worse. Trump is reportedly aware that voters have concerns about the economy, but believes his messaging on policies like new tax breaks is not getting through. One White House official told CNN the president is frustrated he's not getting credit for what he's doing. Donald Trump's own aides understand how dire this situation is right now, and they are doing anything to get him to stop talking about how he has the greatest economy in the world. Now, I suspect that the person lashing out at Donald Trump, trying to course correct, is Stephen Miller, because we know who actually runs the White House. And so it would be my guess that he's telling Trump, stop saying that affordability isn't an issue. Stop dismissing the cost of living crisis. For God's sake, stop attacking Americans and calling them stupid, especially because Stephen Miller is the architect of course, Donald Trump's illegal deportation agenda, that disgusting and immoral raids we see every single day. But it was Donald Trump last night on Laura Ingraham's show, during an interview with her, who said that we need the H-1B visa holders that Donald Trump's MAGA movement hates, of course for racist reasons. We need them in our economy. We need that immigration. We need those specialized workers because Americans are too stupid to do the job. Donald Trump said, we, America, don't have enough talent, that we're a bunch of idiots. Again, imagine if Kamala Harris had said that. And so it wouldn't surprise me if it is Stephen Miller who's having the freak out. Of course, this has been leaked. This is an anonymous official. We don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was Stephen Miller who was upset that Donald Trump is now saying, bring on the immigrants. Because that's a little different than what Donald Trump usually says. And that's certainly different than how Stephen Miller feels. And I've seen several tweets since last night of the MAGA crazies saying, oh, Donald, How could you do this to me? I supported the insurrection. I supported the pedophile protection. I supported, just the destruction of our country. But oh, Donald, you're allowing people to immigrate to a country of immigrants. How could you? How could you do it? Ah! That's my MAGA impression. I think it was pretty good. But that's what we're seeing right now. They are all freaking out. They're all freaking out. They can't handle it. They can't. And they don't want to acknowledge that Donald Trump has caused this crisis. But he obviously has. And more Democrats, as they are right now, need to be talking about it.
Thank you, Ms. Bonamici. Ms. Ansari, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome back from your 8 weeks of taxpayer-funded vacation. It's good to see you, and I hope
I'm going to interrupt you.
Republicans
I'm going to interrupt you, please. I am sick and tired of hearing you all say we had an 8-week vacation.
That's exactly what happened.
I worked every day. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hear another soul
We all worked
say that.
every single day, and that's exactly what happened with Speaker Mike Johnson.
You're recognized.
I hope that you all enjoyed yourselves while American families looked at their letters from their health insurance companies, terrified that their insurance premiums were going to double or triple while the House was out of session for 53 days. That is unacceptable, Madam Chair.
We need to hammer this every second of the day. Donald Trump is making you poorer. Donald Trump is making you sicker. Donald Trump is making you pull your hair out every day while Donald Trump focuses on a ballroom or the next Friday night party at Mar-a-Lago. He's worried about the seafood tower. He's not worried about you. He's worried about getting bigger shrimps for the spread. This guy has never worked harder at anything in his life than he did trying to deny food assistance to 42 million Americans. Think about that. Donald Trump hasn't worked hard at anything in this term except for the grift. We know that. Until it came to making sure that he blocked SNAP benefits from going to 42 million Americans who are starving because of Donald Trump. That is what he wanted to work at. That is what his administration really just went to town on. You ask the guy to address affordability, he says, fuck off. You ask him to quite literally impede people from being able to buy basic necessities, and he locks in. I don't know if you've seen the meme. It's like the guy sitting back playing video games, and he sits forward like he's locked in. That's what Donald Trump does. It's like this. He's like, oh, I have to, do my job as president, make life affordable. I don't care. Oh, I can make people starve. Oh, locked in. There's your visual. I hope it helped. But that's Donald Trump, and it's not a surprise to me. But we're going to continue to call it out on the show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at JD Cocchiarella, or you can follow my personal Instagram. That's my political one, JD Cocchiarella. My personal is just my name. I'm posting a lot of pictures of Kermit the Frog. But if you want to hang out, you can. It's just fun to see y'all and have a little community. We need it right now. We're going to keep on fighting. Not going to let them silence us. And until next time, I'll see you soon.